So for this, I am using some weight for yarn, and the two colors that I'm going to be using is going to be this blue color and then green. So the base of my hat is going to be green, and then my letters are going to be blue. So right now we're going to start with the base of our hat, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can do a basic beanie base, or if you want to do like the wavy brim hat, I'll show you that as well. Start for round one, we are going to start with a magic ring, and I'm just going to cross the yarn over my two fingers in a crisscross motion, and I'm just going to pull up a loop like this. So that is how I do my magic circle. So once you have your magic circle on here, I would suggest using a magic ring instead of a chain up of 4 and then like a slip stitch, because when you do the chain up of 4 and slip stitch, it's kind of hard for you to pull the hole shut, and then you just have like a small circle at the top of your hat. If you're okay with that, then by all means go ahead and do it that way. But once you have your magic ring, you are going to chain up 1. Now that chain up 1 is just going to count as a placeholder. It doesn't count as any stitch. So in the ring, we are going to be using double crochet. So I'm going to insert 12 double crochets into this ring. So I'm going to yarn over into my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 again, and I'm going to repeat that 11 more times for a total of 12. Make sure you're counting your stitches as you go, because this part is very important and very crucial to the outcome of your hat. So go ahead and insert 11 more double crochets for a total of 12. So once you have your 12 double crochet stitches, that is the end of round 1. So you are going to take your short tail right here and pull it tight just to close the ring, so you don't have any open hole right here. So then you are going to insert your hook into that top of that chain 1 from the beginning with a slip stitch to close the round. And then I'm going to pull through. And that is how your work should be looking at the end of round 1. Now to start for round 2, we are going to start with a chain up of 1. And then in this same space where we just chained up of 1, this is where we're going to work our first double crochet stitch. So I'm going to insert 1 double crochet. And for this round, we are going to be increasing, so I'm going to insert another double crochet for a total of 2. So for this round, we are going to insert 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 24 double crochet stitches. Okay, so I am at the end of round 2 and I have a total of 24 stitches. I do want to point this space out right here. I know sometimes people can have trouble with making their hat base, and they find themselves increasing too much. This little space right here is not a space where you insert any stitches. That is just the slip stitch that is connected to that chain 1 from the beginning. So make sure as you're going you have 24. So I have 24 right now, and this was the last stitch. So to close round 2, you're going to insert your hook into the top of that chain 1 from the beginning with the slip stitch. So I'm going to go in right here, pull up a loop and pull through. So that is the end of round 2. For round 3, we are going to chain up 1 again. So at the start of every round, we're going to be chaining up 1, and remember that doesn't count as a stitch. It's just a placeholder for when you're slip stitching at the end. So for round 3, we are going to insert, the pattern for round 3 is going to be 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. So in this same space where we just chain 1 from, you're going to insert 1 double crochet. Alright, and then in the next space, we are going to insert 2 double crochets. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. So go ahead and repeat that pattern until you reach the end. Just a quick tip to know that you are doing it right. On your last stitch should always be an increase. So it should always end with 2 double crochets in that last stitch. And that's how you know that you have the correct amount of stitches and you're on the right track. So I've inserted my last 2 double crochets and I'm at the end of round 3. So again, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 1 to close the round. And that is the end of round 3. So now we're moving on to round 4. So you're going to chain up 1 again, and then the pattern for this round is going to be 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, all the way around. So in that first space, you're going to insert 1 double crochet. The next stitch is going to be 1 double crochet, and then in that third stitch is going to be 2 double crochets. So in the previous round, we did 1 double crochet, 2, 1 double crochet, 2. So in this round, it's going to be 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2. So just go ahead and repeat that, and I will meet you back at the end of this round. All right, so we are at the end of round 4. And like I said, to know you're doing it right, you should be ending with 2 double crochets in that last stitch. So I have my 2 double crochets here. I'm going to insert into that chain 1 with the slip stitch to close the round. Now for the next round, it's going to be an increase round as well. So for this one, we are going to chain up 1. And then the pattern for this round is going to be 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. So insert your first double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, and then we increase. So 2 in this stitch. Okay? So keep going all the way around, repeating that 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. Alright, so I am at the end of round 5. I've inserted my last 2 double crochets, so I'm going to slip stitch to close the round. Now at this point, if you are working on a basic like classic beanie hat base, you can stop right here for a second. But if you are going to be working on like the wavy brim, this next round is only for the wavy brim hat. So if you're not going to be doing a wavy brim, you can skip this round. But if you are, this is what you would do. So you would chain up 1. And in that first stitch, you're going to insert your first double crochet. And for this round, we are going to be doing 13 double crochets. And then in that 14th stitch is where we're going to increase and insert 2. So go ahead and insert 1 double crochet in the next 13 stitches. We already have 1, so you're going to do 12 more. And then in that 14th stitch is where you increase. So we have 1, 13, okay, and then in that 14th stitch, you're going to insert 2. And this just gives it a little bit more of a wider look, not too big, just a little bit of an increase for this round. So again, we're going to insert 1 double crochet in the next 13 stitches, and then in that 14th stitch, you're going to do 2 double crochets. Now you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you'll notice like once you get towards the end, after you've inserted like your last 2 double crochets and then you're trying to repeat the pattern, you'll notice that you don't have 13 stitches left, and that's okay. Just insert 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way until the end, okay? So this is what I was talking about. I've inserted my last 2 double crochets and I only have a few stitches left, so just go ahead and insert 1 double crochet in each stitch until you reach the end. And then slip stitch to close the round shut. All right, so that will be the end of our increasing. So if you were doing the basic beanie, you would have stopped on this row, but because I'm showing you how to do the wavy brim, I did an extra row. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 rounds. So if you're doing a wavy brim, you should end with 64 stitches. If you're doing a basic beanie, you should have 60 stitches. So to make your graphs, you're going to start out by going over to stitchfiddle.com, and it's a free website. You don't need to have an account. You are going to click on create new, and then you're going to hit crochet, because that is the crop that we're working with, and then you're going to hit crochet color work, and then you don't have any preference on any yarn, so you're going to hit no preference, and then we're going to be starting from our own design, so you're going to click on empty. Okay, so remember how I said you're going to end with either 60 stitches or 64 stitches depending on if you're doing a basic beanie or a wavy brim hat. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that 60 and then you're going to divide it in half, because you only want to work in half of the hat just to kind of give you a nice working area for your letters. So I'm going to divide that 60 in half, and that gave me a number of 30. So that will be the width that I'm working with for my alpha grid. Now for the height of the letters, you can either do anywhere from 5 rows to 8 rows. Now once you have your grid, this is where you can start playing around with it and working your letters on the space that you have. I like to do 30 stitches just because it gives me a better idea of the space that I have. Now I would suggest doing anywhere from 3 letters to 5 letters for your alpha grid. I wouldn't do anything bigger than that. So this was a grid that I've already pre-made, and it's going to be the word love, and I did this in a shorter length, so I only did 5 rows as the height for this alpha grid just because I knew that I wanted to do a wavy brim look, so I just wanted it to be a little bit shorter. But like I said, you can do anywhere from 5 rows to 8 rows for the height of your hat depending on how tall or short you want your word to be. So just play around with your alpha grid and see how you like it and play with your letters. And then once you have your letters, you'll go ahead and do a little bit of math. To center out your design, you have to do a little bit of math. So if you have 60 stitches because you're doing a basic beanie, you would do 60, and then you would minus however many boxes that you have on your alpha grid. So for me, I do 30. Let's just say we're doing 30 to 32 stitches. So my grid calls for 30, and I'll show you right here. Let me show you. So you see how I have 30 stitches all the way across on my grid, even though my pattern is only going to 25, I'm still going to go ahead and do it for 30. So I'm going to do 60 minus 30. We have 30 here, and then you're going to divide that by 2, which gives you 15. So with this number, that means that is how many stitches you're going to do starting your round before you start working the actual letters. So for here, when we start, I'm going to do 15, and then we'll start working on the alpha grid doing the letters, and then after we have our letters, we'll do another 15 to end the round, and that will keep your letters in the center of your hat, okay? And if you're going to be doing a wavy brim, you should be having 64 stitches like I mentioned. So you would have 64 minus 30, or you can do 32, but my grid is always 30, so I'm just going to do 30, which is going to give you 34. You would divide that by 2, which gives you 17. So I would go ahead and start with 17 stitches. I would start with 17 stitches, and then I would start working on my grid, and then at the end I would end with 17 stitches again. Hoping this makes sense. Once we start actually working on the grid, it'll make more sense to you. Okay, so to start, I have my chain up 1, and then Remember, that doesn't count as a stitch. So in this first space here, I'm going to insert my first double crochet. And for this, I'm going to do 15 because I'm just going to do a basic beanie just for the sake of this tutorial. But if you are going to be doing the wavy brim, go ahead and stitch 17. Okay, so I have 14 double crochets, and then on that 15th double crochet, I'm going to start it, but this is where we are going to add in our color for our letters. So I pulled up a loop and pulled through 2, so I have 2 loops on my hook, and I'm not going to finish this stitch with my green. I am going to grab my blue and put it onto my hook, and I'm going to pull that through. So I'm going to pull the green a little bit just to get it a little tight on there. But now I am working with my green. So I have the green on my hook now. So for my next couple stitches, I'm going to look at my grid, and I see that the first 2 stitches are red. So for my color, I'm going to be doing blue. So I'm going to insert 2 double crochets with this blue, and that will count as the first row of our letter. So I'm starting with letter L, and we're working left to right on the grid. So I'm going to insert my hook. That is the first double crochet. And then in the second double crochet, I'm not going to finish it because we're getting ready to switch back to green, because this only calls for 2 double crochets in this color. So now we're switching back to our green. So you're going to finish that double crochet with the green color. So now your working color is your green now. So for the green, you see that there is 4 stitches in green. So we're just following the grid. So I'm going to yarn over and insert 4 double crochets in the green, remembering to carry over your yarn. So I'm carrying over the blue as I go. So I have 2, 3, and then 4. In that 4th stitch, don't finish it because we are switching back to blue, because looking at the grid, the next few stitches are going to be our next letter. So we're working on the first row of our O, and for that it's going to be 5 double crochet stitches. So I'm going to pull my blue through, and then we are going to work 5 double crochet stitches. And remember, on that 5th stitch, don't finish it all the way because we were going to switch to back to our green. Okay, we have 3 here, and I'm carrying over my green as I go. 4 and 5, pull through 2, and I didn't finish it because we are switching back to green. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through. So now I'm working with the green. So for green, there's only 1 stitch in between the letters that's green, so it's just going to be 1 double crochet. And then I'm going to switch back to blue because now we're working on the next letter, which is V. So I'm going to pull through my blue, and this is what the work looks like. So this is the first row of our alpha grid. So this is the letter L, this is O. Now we're working on V. So for V, you see that there's 3 stitches. So we're going to do 3 double crochets. And then that 3rd one, I'm going to switch back to green. Okay. And then I'm going to do 1 because it switches back to blue again for another 3 double crochets. And this definitely takes practice of getting it like super neat. So don't be, discouraged if you feel like, oh, your yarn is showing through because you're carrying it. It's just part of it, part of tapestry, crochet. It's not going to be super perfect. Just try to keep it as tight as possible. So we're doing 3 double crochets, in this blue, and on the third stitch it is switching back to green for one stitch. So I'm going to insert one double crochet, and then in the next 5 stitches is the last letter for E, so I'm switching back to my blue, and then I'm going to do 5 double crochets in this blue. And remember, on that 5th stitch we are going to switch back to our main color, because that is the end of our letters for the first round. Okay, so now we are switching back to green, switching back to green. And these are our letters. So we have L, O, V, and E. So on my grid, I have a few more blank stitches to make it to 30. So I'm going to add that in. It's 5 stitches of green. So I'm going to do 5 stitches in green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I have 5, and then remember, just like we did in the beginning, we started with 15 double crochets, so I'm going to end off with 15 double crochets. Okay, so this is how the work is looking like so far. So just go ahead and insert your last 15 double crochets. Okay, so we inserted our last double crochet. I'm going to insert into that chain 1, slip stitch to close the round. So that is the end of the first round of the tapestry crochet. Now we go back to round 2, and then we do the same thing. We work it row by row. So you're just going to follow your grid until you reach the last row. So for this, my grid is only going to be 5 rows. Because that's just how I wanted my letters. I wanted it to be a little bit small, but if you want your letters to be a little bit longer, I would suggest doing your grid anywhere from 5 rows to 8 rows. So say you were doing like a basic beanie, you can do your grid to be 8 rows, and your words will be a little bit longer. It won't be as short. It'll just be a little bit longer, and that's fine, but I would suggest always keep it where it's 30 stitches, and then you just work within that 30 stitches. But yes, like I said, you can change it from 5 rows to 8 rows if you want your letters to be longer or shorter. So go ahead and follow your grid row by row, and I will meet you back once I've completed all 5 rows of my letter. I just wanted to point out, when you're starting a new row, always remember to do that 15 double crochets in the beginning before you start working on the letters. So here I have my 15 stitches, and I'm getting ready to switch to my blue to start working on round 2 of my letters. Okay, so I have completed all my 5 rows. So after you have your letters, you can go ahead and do some additional rows of just your hat base, just to kind of make it to the length that you want. You want it to reach your eyebrows. So I am going to go ahead and do a row of green, and that will give me about 11 rows. But I'm just going to keep going and see how I like it and where I want to stop. And also, you can cut off your other color for your letters, because we don't need that anymore because we're done working our letters. I'm going to chain up 1, and I am going to carry this over just a little bit so it doesn't become undone. So I'm just going to insert 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around the base of the hat. And this definitely adds like a nice finishing touch to your hat as well. Okay, so I have completed that additional row of just 1 double crochet in each stitch. It just gives it a nice finishing to it, so you can actually like see your word And yeah, so if you're working a basic beanie, I would suggest just trying it on and seeing where you're at. If you want to do more rows of just one double crochet, continue doing that until you reach the desired length. I would suggest anywhere from like 12 to 15 rounds in total for a basic beanie. That seems to be like a good height for an average adult head size. Like I said, just try it on and see where you're at. Now, if you are going to be doing a wavy brim, we are going to work on the brim now, so I'm going to show you how to do that. But yeah, if you're doing the basic beanie, just go ahead and do your rows, and then you can cut and fasten off and stop. But if we're doing the wavy brim, just keep watching. For the wavy brim, we are going to work this in 3 rows. So you chain up 1. Now, if you don't want to do a wavy brim, you can do a ruffle brim, or however you're feeling, you can do it at this part. But I'm just going to be doing a wavy brim. So for that, it's just going to be, for the first row, we're going to be working in the back loop only. So in the back loop of this first space here, I'm going to insert 1 double crochet. Okay, and then in the next space I'm going to insert, actually I'm going to insert 2 double crochets in that first space, like that. So I'm going to insert 2 double crochets, and then in the next 2 spaces it's just going to be 1 double crochet, and then in that third stitch 2 again. Okay, so we're just going to repeat putting 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2. All right, so just go ahead and do that all the way around, but just make sure you're working in the back loop only. So I just finished 2 double crochets, so in the next 2 stitches it's just going to be 1 double crochet, and then I'm going to insert 2. So go ahead and I will meet you back at the end of this round. So once you've completed that first round of the brim, it was in the back loop only. Now for the next 2 rows, 2 or 3 rows, depending on how you like the look of it, you're just going to repeat the same thing. So we're going to chain up 1, and then in this first space I'm going to insert 2 double crochets, but I'm not going to work in the back loop only. I'm going to work in both loops and just do it regularly. So I'm going to insert 2 double crochets, and then just repeat that pattern again. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. And then just keep going all the way around. And you are going to repeat this for however many rows of your brim you see fit. I'm probably going to do this for, after this row, I'll probably do 1 more row and then be done. But I'll try it on and see how it looks, and if I feel like I want another row of the brim, I'll go ahead and do so.